Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to dive into one of Cochrane's newer communities and one of the largest new communities that's hit Cochrane in the last few years, and that is South Bow Landing. Before we dive too much into South Bow Landing and the community itself, first let's talk about where it's located. South Bow Landing is located on the south side of Cochrane, Alberta, south of the Bow River. It borders the Willows and it borders River Song on the south side. Now, one of the big things about South Bow Landing apart from its size, is that it is going to be responsible for connecting James Walker Trail. So in the map here, I'll show you right now you turn off of Highway 22 onto James Walker Trail and then get detoured right away onto River Heights Drive down past Rivercrest, the Willows, and River Song. The development of South Bow Landing is going to actually push through James Walker Trail, which will wrap all the way around and then connect down into Cochrane right by the Spray Lakes Recreation Center. This gives another access point from those communities on the south side of the river down into Cochrane without having to travel down Highway 22, which is a really big plus. In terms of size, South Bow Landing is quite large. Over 545 total acres is the size of the development. As you can see on the map, it takes up a very large amount of space wrapping around the south part of those existing communities. And while the community itself boasts like 3,000 new homes, it does also have about 140 acres of environmental reserve. Some of that environmental reserve is mandatory. Whenever any new development happens, there is set percentages that are required to give up in terms of an environmental reserve for natural green spaces and the like. South Bow Landing, due to the nature of where the project sits, getting down closer to that point down by the Bow River, has given up an additional 50 acres that is not required in order to add more green space to the project, which is a really nice feature to have in this large community to still maintain that natural space down near the river. And then the community itself will have about 10 kilometers worth of walking trails that then extend through the community and down to those green spaces along the river, giving you that good amount of recreation access while still providing a lot of new homes to the Cochrane area. I'll touch on this a little bit later when we jump out into the field here, but they did do a nice job of maintaining some existing wetlands, which you'll see later on in the video, as well as they will be adding a new wetland closer to the river. On top of those 10 kilometers of pathways, there is also 3 school sites within the community itself. And the community right now is slated for about 15 phases. And in those 15 phases, yes, you're seeing about 3,000 units or 3,000 homes, but there is a very big mix. A bulk of those new units are going to be multifamily or high density units, which is about 1,300 of those units. And so just about half is going to be in that multifamily high density areas. And we can point out a few of those areas on the map here. As you can see in this map overlay, the areas highlighted in gray and the highlighted in brown are going to be the 2 areas within phase 2 that are going to see the bulk of the multifamily and high density homes here in South Bow Landing. So right as you come into the community near the gateway, which is going to be near that initial commercial district area, that is going to be where the bulk of your high density living is. And then as you move further into the community and get down towards the river, we're going to move through mixed use residential and into some more low density areas and estate homes that'll come up later in the community as it gets developed. As we move into the mixed density areas, there's going to be about 220 units of townhomes, about 250 duplexes, which will turn into about 500 units. And then from there, we move into the single detached homes, and then we move into the actual like estate and low density units. And there's going to be about 600 estate and low density lots as we move deeper into the community. So if you've been waiting for a community in Cochrane that's going to have some lower density areas or estate style lots, similar to what you'd find in the Pinnacle and Sunset Ridge, or some of the larger lots on the perimeter of Fireside, where you're going to have, 10 plus meter wide lots. You are going to find those here in South Bow Landing. It is just going to be further along in the development, and they're in phases, 9, 10 to 14. So you will have to wait a few years before those lots start being constructed, but it is coming. And I think it's a nice change, moving away from some of that higher density that we've seen in some of the communities. While we need the units, we do need more of that wide estate lots, which will take some of the pressure off the more older, mature neighborhoods with those wide lots, where they see a really good resale value because they are the only big lots remaining here in Cochrane. Now, as of right now, there's 6 builders currently listed for South Bow Landing, and they are New Vista, Douglas, Trico, Daytona, Broadview, and Sterling Homes. So most of these homes, and I'll touch on this in the video, are actual Qualico companies. So Qualico, being the developer of this community, does own a bunch of construction or home building companies. And so inside of their community, they're using their Qualico companies, which makes sense. In terms of Qualico as a developer, some of the other communities that you may be familiar with, and one that I've done a video on in this channel that Qualico is responsible for developing, is Harmony. So they're no stranger to large communities, Harmony being going to be over 30 phases and almost 18,000 residents. A community of this size in 15 phases is right up Qualico's alley, and they are very used to incorporating larger lots and having lots of natural green space, which you see in the plans here of South Bow Landing. Now, I could sit here, show you a bunch of drone footage, which I'm sure you've already seen, and we could talk all about South Bow Landing here just sitting at my desk. But you know, that's not my style. So let's jump out into the community and check it out, see what's going on in phase 1, and give you a little bit better idea of what to expect when you come and visit South Bow Landing, if it's a place where you're thinking about calling home here in 2025 or in the next few years as they continue building. Okay, so now I'm out here. This is South Bow Landing. They're currently building in phase 1. And as you see behind me here, there's a lot of work still left to do. There's quite a few homes still left to be built. The one thing they have completed fully here in phase 1 is this great park that you can see in the images on the screen now. Now, there are show homes open currently in phase 1, and you'll have to access them at the back side of the community here, and I'll point that down on the map for you so you know where they are. All the builders that are going to be building in South Bow Landing are here and are present, at least the ones that are going to be building in the single family sector of the community, because in phase 1, all that is currently under construction right now is single family homes. Now, there's a mixture of front attached drive, detached homes, front attached drive, duplex homes, and then again in the lane versions you have single detached homes and you have duplex lane homes. So that gives a lot of options for the current buyers for South Bow Landing to find something that they might be interested in. But if you are waiting on the multifamily stuff, you're gonna have to wait till phase 2, which is where most of the higher density and medium density homes will come into play. So keep that in mind, that if those are the styles of homes you're looking for, phase 2 is where you're going to start to see those homes pop up here in South Bow Landing. And then, like any new construction community, there is going to be a lot of background noise for the first little bit. There are crews working, so you're going to hear in the background framers nailing, roofers doing their work. You're going to have large trucks going by, making a lot of noise. You're going to have piles of construction materials in the background. You're going to have dumpsters on the street. The top layer of asphalt isn't going to be present. So all of those things are going to have to be concessions that you make to buy a brand new home in a brand new community. Now, typically, like I've talked about in other videos, your purchases in the first few phases of a new community do see a general amount of appreciation because you are the one that is living with the inconvenience of the construction, and generally the lot prices in the first few phases are lower than the lot prices as the community gets more developed and as more amenities get put into place. So you just have to make a decision if those inconveniences early on are worth it for you in the long run. Now, I am just out on the west side of South Bow Landing, right along the highway here. And as you can see behind me here and in the overhead, they've done a great job as they started stripping and grading to not affect these wetlands. And then moving out onto the east side, and you can see by this map here that I'm showing on the screen now, they have made plans to actually give up more environmental reserve than they're actually required to do and give a little bit more of a natural break before the river instead of just piling up homes right on the river bank, which I think is a great move to keep some more natural spaces and that beautiful Bow River Valley a part of Cochrane, Alberta. All right, so after checking out South Bow Landing and hearing what the community is about, if you've been thinking that a new community in Cochrane is going to suit your next move, reach out. I'd love to show you around the community, give you some more insights into the local Cochrane market. And if you have any questions about the new communities here in Cochrane, please feel free to reach out. As always, my information is in the description of the video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I will catch you in the next one.